What happens when the healer becomes the one who breaks? When every treatment, every expert, and every prayer still leaves you in pain? For Dr. Doug Lehrer, two herniated discs, sciatica, and migraines brought him to the edge of giving up. But when the will to die turned into a prayer to heal, everything changed. Energetic medicine found him, and what followed wasn't just recovery, it was revelation. He not only healed his body, he awakened a gift to help others transform pain into power and limitation into purpose. Now, before we dive in, if you're here because you're seeking truth, healing, and transformation, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with someone who's ready for their own awakening. Every conversation here is meant to inspire your journey and remind you you're not alone. Welcome, Dr. Doug. Thank you so
Hey.
much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Caroline.
Yeah, and for me, this is so cool because just so everyone knows, I have experienced your work and it brought me to where I am today. So that's why I'm so excited to have you here. So, but I want to lead into you going a little bit deeper into the trauma that you experienced and how your personal healing journey got you where you are today and into the work that you do.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. I was in my 20s and at first, lost in wondering, what am I going to do for, like a career to earn money to do whatever people do in this thing called work. And I literally went through the library and they have these big career books. I mean, they're like this big. And I think there was 3 or 4 of them.
Mhm.
And I literally paged through and read every single career there. Like I was a very quick scanner, so I could go pretty fast, but it still took me a couple days, morning till evening, and taking a lunch break and just going through those, trying to discover what it was. And what led me to that was I should actually go back a little further. I thought to be a medical doctor, and I was living in Kansas City. That's where I went to junior high and high school, and did undergraduate college. And then I was looking for, okay, get into medical school. We just happened to have the third highest rated medical school in Kansas City, which is called UMKC. And so I thought, I'll drive down there, see what it's like to be a medical doctor, no, like try it on for size, right? So I went there and I walk into the medical, building, and I started walking down the hallway. And the further I walked, the worse I felt. And I mean, literally the off green walls like slimed me. I literally felt the walls close in, slimed. I turned around, I ran out the door.
I have
Had
to
my,
ask you a question real quick to just add this in here. When was that? Because I don't remember slime green walls. I remember white walls.
again, it doesn't. They could
Oh,
have been. They could have been white.
you don't know.
What I experienced,
Oh, I see.
my perception
Gotcha.
was was this, kind of this greenish slime that slimed me. Now this is before Ghostbusters, because this is
Okay. Okay. You don't look like you look like you've done well.
So that was, yeah, I was an undergraduate college in those years. And I thought I would, check it out because I was taking all my prerequisites for medical school and preparing. So I went down there and I had this panic attack and I go, I guess medicine's not for me.
Mhm.
I listened to my body. And then, so I was just walking across campus and I saw the psychology department. I thought, oh, maybe I'll become a psychologist. Yeah. I walk in there and they were doing biofeedback experiments with the mind. And I happened to walk in. They said, "Oh, we need some more subjects." So I became a subject for a little bit. I don't know, I was there for an hour or two, and they put me on this, biofeedback thing, and they wanted to see what my mind did with the experiment. And then I left, and I thought, yeah, psychology, that kind of sounds kind of cool. Biofeedback, the mind, brain, because they were doing kind of brain mind research. So, once I realized that medical school was not the direction for me to take, I actually felt a little bit lost. I thought about, psychology but the psychologist said, don't become a psychologist because there was no jobs in the 1970s, just all these hippies graduated from school in psychology. But it wasn't popular yet for people to actually like work on their mental. And you're kind of crazy if you go to a psychologist. Like something wrong with you. Now it's something wrong with you if you don't go. So yeah, so I ended up back in Los Angeles. I left Kansas City in 1980 and drove my car and showed up and didn't know anyone anymore from my childhood, had no phone numbers, but I had one person I knew how to contact because I knew where his business was. It was Dr. Curtis Howard. And he was my Boy Scout leader for many years when I lived in Los Angeles. And you always have a good feeling about somebody who leads you, hiking in the Sierras and going to jamborees and go camping and nature. And I love that stuff. So I called him up on the phone. I said, "Hey, Curtis, it's Doug." He said, "Hey, Doug, how are you doing?" "Great." He said, "I said, I'd love to, see you, see what's going on." And he said, "Why don't you come to my chiropractic office at 8 a.m. in North Hollywood? And yeah, come see me at 8." I go, "Okay." So I got up early and got dressed and showed up at 8 o'clock, right when he opens. And I was wondering how that was going to go because, he has like, there's all these patients there. And he was a very busy chiropractor. And he just took me back. "Come on, follow me." And then he brought me into this treatment room with a woman laying face down. uh, I knew that she was fairly young and attractive, and she was a kind of a well-known actress, actually, and like that. She was Mark Harmon's sister. Everyone knows
Okay.
Mark more than the sister, but she's done a lot of acting, and cool person. And he just said, "This is an ultrasound head. Here's some gel. Put it on her like that. Do that. Rub it out. Give her a massage, and put a hot pack on her, and go to the next room. I'll see you at lunch." And he left. And I got this ultrasound and there's some gel in my hand. I'm going, I got tricked into working for free today, which I did. And so I did that. I worked all morning, massaging people, and everyone says, "You must be, you're a pro at all this." I've never done it in my life. Yeah, I, so I just did that, felt good, and helped the people and put it on there, went to the next room. And lunchtime, we went out to a nice restaurant. We actually hopped in his DeLorean. The roof went up like that. It's back to the future days in 1980. And so back to chiropractic. And we went to lunch, and he goes, "How about becoming a chiropractor?" And I said, I got nothing else going on. It sounds really good." He was having fun, helping people. I saw, patients happy, and was like, it was expanding. It felt really good. So boom, I had most of my prerequisites, for medical school, same as chiropractic college. And
Mhm.
boom, we had 3 chiropractic colleges in the Los Angeles area. So, boom, he gave me my letter of recommendation, and boom, I was in chiropractic college. The
No green slime.
No green slime. However, I did get sick cleaning the building because we all volunteered. It was an old building, and we cleaned it all. And it was right
Yeah.
off the freeway, so we were cleaning what? Mercury from the gas engine.
Ah.
The gas additives, all those heavy metals. So that kind of started me on one part of my illness. So but, just getting practiced on all the time by all the students whacking into you. And my job in restaurants, I got injured and herniated those discs and sciatica. And then I started getting migraines really bad in chiropractic college. They start about 3 in the afternoon. If you understand acupuncture, like boom, it was like 3 o'clock every day,
Mm.
boom. It hurt. And then I'd wait tables or chef or, prepare, food for everybody because I like cooking. And so I was in those cool restaurants in Beverly Hills and Hollywood waiting on movie stars and stuff. And
In the 80s, no less.
in the 80s and feeling fairly like small. I'm just a student,
Yeah.
everyone thought, "Are you an actor?" Because that's what, like that's what
That's
waiters are actors in Los Angeles. No, I'm chiropractic college. And cool. And by the time I got out, I was just crippled walking with a cane and all this pain. And I also had like borderline like diabetes, hypoglycemia, because I also had these blood sugar imbalances
mm.
and colitis and, a lot of stuff going on with me.
Mhm.
I had astigmatism in my eyes. I had a heart murmur. complexities like a lot of people, like most people have a bunch of stuff, but they don't focus on it until it gets really bad. For me, it got bad.
Yeah. And you were
Uh,
how old when that was going on? About how old were you?
well, I was in chiropractic college from like age 25 to 29.
Wow. Okay. So you're preparing for your first Saturn return, huh? Get
Exactly.
it?
Around age 28, my back started to hurt, 29, all herniated.
Yeah.
So right in the Saturn return. And, I went to all these chiropractors, only got worse, went to acupuncture, got worse. And I went to I'm in LA, Beverly Hills. We had top people.
Mm.
I went to, top one, the well-known ones. And a lot of them were my teachers and people I learned from, because I learned all these different techniques from sacral-occipital technique, cranial work, applied kinesiology, reflexology work
Mhm.
on the body, and many other techniques. So I was pretty good
Yeah.
with all that stuff and like that, but it wasn't really working on me. Temporary relief, yes. But most of the time it just nada, nothing. And so
Interesting.
at this point, I was starting to pray to die. I had already graduated, and I hurt too badly to practice. Excruciating to bend over somebody. I mean, like 19 knives being stuck in your back and your
Wow.
whole back with movement. It was screaming pain, and I finally prayed for something different and understand something. My parents were atheists. I did go to a bunch of different churches with friends, churches, synagogues, checked out a lot of different religions back in my life. And actually my scoutmaster was Mormon. So I used to go to the Mormon church, to Latter-day Saints for, years, because that was what you do. You went to the Wednesday service, and then you had your scout meeting afterwards. So, yeah, yeah. So, Bible study, all sorts of things, and learned a lot of things, and as well as other religions and so forth. But basically, I prayed to die, didn't work. Prayed to get better, that did work. But the words I used was very important. I just said, God, show me how to get well. Show me how to heal myself. Show me. And the next day, I went to a chiropractor to who did bloodless surgery, and he was a one of a kind of dude, and he was one of my teachers as well in Beverly Hills, Dr. Pick, and he was working on me, and then suddenly he kind of and he's very this super, like, he can see this clear eyes. I didn't. I was still, you know, eyes closed shut and not awakened yet. This is, like I said, 1985, 6 and 1987's what the harmonic convergence still, I cracked open, but it's what I thought was awake. But no, I was still had that lost glaze still for many, many years.
But it probably got into you though, the
But it
harmonic
got into me.
convergence. Yeah.
The growth from that
Yeah.
went into me. And Mark told me, he said, you're gonna learn how to heal yourself and help millions of people. That's what he said to me. And it blew my mind. It felt good, but it blew my mind. And thought, like, I can't even bend over a person, let alone help one, let
Right.
alone a
Right.
million. How am I going to do that? I continued that prayer and literally found energetic medicine, bioenergetic medicine. And if we're going to a seminar, I actually had a chiropractor who went on Saturday, came back, and he became my roommate literally on that Saturday. He
Hmm.
called me up. I put a little ad out at the chiropractic college, and he came over. I was already graduated, but he was still in school. And he said, "Hey, I just learned something. I know you're a lot of pain. Let me do it to you." He said, "Yeah, do anything. Help me." And he touched a few points on my back and spine. And I got up and I went, "That's the best I felt in 2 years of this exhausting pain."
Hmm.
And it wasn't perfect, but, I remember I was walking with a cane and dragging my leg because it was, shrinking up because of the
Mhm.
disc was bone on bone. The disc was fragmented, and then another one was protruded. So anyway, I said, I'm going to sneak into that seminar and get this guy to treat me. I drove down there, and he would just was asking at that moment, I need a volunteer. I was already standing and walking towards the table. I know I didn't even ask. I didn't raise. I raised my hand. I raised my hand as I
Like,
caned myself down the hall, and
yeah.
I didn't wait for him to say yes. I just kept walking. And I got on the table and he looked at me like, "You're pretty determined, aren't you? I've been in pain a long time.
Yeah.
I'm here." He's all right. So he worked on me and literally for only about 15 minutes. And now, if you know this doc, he usually takes 2 minutes. So 15 is a long time because
Mhm.
my nervous system was really stuck, really fragmented, really confused, stressed out. And he unwound me and I got up and he said, "Go walk." And I went and walked without my cane, full strength in my legs, no sciatica. And as I'm walking, I'm going, I know I'm going to be like really, really good at this. I actually said back then, my ego was pretty inflated back then, even
Yeah.
though it was a lot of pain. I said, I'm going to be the best in the world at this. But it was in my heart. It was in my heart. I'd say probably the first time I felt something that deeply in my heart of knowing this is for me. And I studied with him for years. It didn't take me very long, but really that first year to start my channel opened and I started, getting information on how to make it better, how to work with patients. And I talked to him on every Sunday, or I'd send him a special email. Like I made a newsletter up from me to him, and he used to chuckle, and I used to write, what I do on patients, and he taught everything I gave him. 5 years, basically, I wrote all the what he called updates for the technique, and didn't get any credit at all. No one really knew that I wrote all this stuff because he liked taking credit for everything, and he was pretty proud, you know, prideful. So, but
Mm.
I feel blessed to learn from this man, and he was a tough old dude, but he really helped. You know, he changed my life. To date, I've treated at least 20,000 people, done about 500,000 sessions. So people have come for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 or more sessions. I have some that have come for hundreds and hundreds because they're really transformation and they want to heal everything: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relational, social, personality. Integrate me, Doug, like get me to my next level. And I love that. And this is really next level healing for next level people who really want to go to those higher levels of consciousness, higher levels of themselves, their performance. Most of all, say I wanted to share something that I wrote, but before I do, which is really like a statement about what I discovered and what I teach, because now I teach this work to doctors and healers around the world.
And before you get into that, can you name that? 'Cause, I want
Yeah,
you to share that
yeah. So
CRQH.
thank you. It's
Yeah.
cellular resonance, cells and sound and resonance,
Yeah.
because the cells talk and they communicate via sound impulses called solitron pulses, and the brain and the cells transmit biophotons of light and sound impulses.
Mhm.
Sound and light sound familiar. In the beginning there was a sound with a word, and light. Let there be light. Sound, light. That's how our bodies are. We work. We're energy beings having this physical material existence, but we're really, really energy. I like the way Deepak Chopra, he used to say that, if we took all of our, cells and DNA and called matter, and we took all the empty space out, we'd
Yeah.
be the size like of the head of a pin. That's all our matter. But
Mhm.
then that was back in when he wrote his first book. But since then, he and others have stated, well, we just found out that head-sized pin of matter that we are is also energy too. So everything's energy. Consciousness drives energy. So it's called cellular resonance, quantum healing work. My mentor, when he died at a 2013, he came to me in spirit. He was right there talking to me and said, "Dr. Lehrer, you've got to teach what you know." And so I taught a few classes, and then I kind of like lost it for a little while. And then he came back again, "Get back out there and teach what you know." And he came back 3 times. And then I finally, in 2021, 22, I opened my School of Energy Medicine and had my first class under cellular resonance. Yeah, well, I did that in 2015, but now have my school officially uh, created. And I've been teaching, and I just taught,
Yep.
you know, uh, dozens of practitioners in Europe, uh, couple months ago, and I actually have a seminar this week that starts on Thursday. Exciting, and it's a little bit more advanced for those people, so it's always cool. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah. My introduction to you, the first one, was probably right in the middle of your teacher coming back to you telling you get back into it, because I think I met you in like 2016 or 2017, I don't remember. And you literally scared the crap out of me back then because I didn't know what was going on and you were brilliant and I'm like I'm still in my not good enough mode and I'm like but I was so intrigued with all this because I'm in the process of learning because I'm an energy practitioner in general. When you worked on me then, I'm just sitting there going, what's going on here? What's happening right now? And the information you gave me just blew me away because I'm very analytical. And I was very interested in it, but apparently I wasn't ready for it. And then the next time you just looped back into my life again, it's about a year, it was a year ago, I think, or a little over a year ago because I hadn't started the podcast yet. And I'm like, "All right." Same thing like your teacher comes back and it's like, and I was just in this stuck place and I didn't know what was going on. And I'm very curious. I've always been very curious about how energy works in the body and the light and the sound healing and all of that kind of thing. But anyway, so having met you, there was just something that intrigued me about you, And that's why when I finally got to this point and we reconnected again because I also took your level 1 CRQH course. It pushed me into the space. So it's like you're part of my healing journey. So I was like, I got to share this. I've had a very interesting journey in relation to my own work and bringing, I don't know what the word is, attracting you back into my life so I could heal some more, whatever that means. And I'm curious, like, what's the secret to healing yourself, to being in that space and recognizing, to ask for the help or to be open to the help? What's that secret?
Yeah, I'm writing 2 books on that subject.
Oh,
And, sorry, folks, they're not quite ready yet, but actually, one is actually written. I just need to go back over it and get it formatted and then, get it, published, and on Amazon and so forth.
yeah.
Uh, the first thing is this. You have to be willing to look at yourself. You have to be willing to go, okay, acknowledge that you're stuck. You're stuck in a pattern. And some people will call the pattern cancer or Crohn's disease or Lyme or sciatica or diabetes, or neuropathy. Those are all names to describe symptoms. But those are all effects. And what's important to understand regarding health is there's a cause to all those effects. If you're always treating the effects, and it doesn't matter how holistically, how medically, that whole gamut, because that's what I was doing back then. And I didn't talk about diet changes and cleanses and so many different things I did, but I still was sick because I wasn't getting to the root cause.
Mhm.
So we have to get to these root causes. So what I would tell someone is, besides being ready for change, ready to look at yourself, is we got to look at the cause. What is the actual cause of a person's problem? And what I found is there is always a big stress before they get sick. They may not be aware of it, and it's not the only cause, by the way,
Mhm.
but it's one of the major. It's what I call the trigger stress, like the
Mhm.
final straw on the camel's back, so
Yeah.
to speak. That final stress that pushes you over the I don't know I'm not super healthy yet because you're still feeling pretty good. I mean, I was feeling pretty good until the discs were like that. I mean, I was working out, and Rocky had come out, and I got myself. I was doing one arm push ups with the other hand behind my back. Going,
Okay.
this is pretty cool because I don't like to work out at all. But remember, I was like 25. So what are 25-year-old men? Well, all men interested in is 25-year-old women. So going to the gym in the 80s in Los Angeles was it was kind of fun. So you need to work.
By the way, my son lives in San Diego, and I see pictures of him all the time, and I don't think that's changed any, but
No, like I said, 25-year-old men and women, it's like go
right,
to the
yeah,
gym, it's like,
yeah.
working out, looking good, and that type of people. So I got to, that buff, and all of a sudden, boom, I could barely, walk or do anything. And I felt pretty helpless and bad about myself for sure. But I really felt that way beforehand. I just, ignored it because, I read all these positive books and positive energy, and so that's, the way I was, my attitude was. But I had a lot of underlying trauma and stress and emotions suppressed because I wasn't really allowed to cry as a kid, or, if I did, you're cry baby, and kids would call me names. And then, my father would say, stop your crying, or I'll give you something to cry about, but he didn't say it very kindly.
And
Yes.
that's this whole generation too. I mean, it's gotten I don't know if it's better or different, but
It's
our
just
generation is like, you're it's so it programmed, especially men, it programmed men to feeling like you're not allowed for your physiology to work because it doesn't fit correctly into society. Like, what does that mean? I don't understand.
exactly.
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now.
Yeah, so, and I was always, hey, when I grew up in grade school, I mean, my nickname was Crybaby,
Oh,
everyone knew me as, Doug the Crybaby. So that was like my moniker, my identity. And when I moved to Kansas from LA, I decided I'm never going to cry again.
right.
I'm going to be the cool kid
Not
and grow my hair long. And, I was 14, and be popular because
yeah.
because I wasn't that,
I'd like to share something in here for the audience
and
based
and
on
be the
what you
cool kid from Hollywood.
yeah, right? That's at least you had that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how
Didn't
people
work that long, but,
right, right,
I
right.
thought it worked,
Yeah,
'cause
it doesn't. I just wanna share with the audience, I don't know who's out there and how, as a male or a man or even there's something about being sensitive as a man that's challenging to the society because they don't appreciate that even if it's who you are and who you're meant to be on this planet, they don't like it for some reason. It like I said, it's getting a little bit better. I'm noticing that and with some of the younger guys are starting to just be who they are. But it was hard for your generation, my generation. I think we're pretty close. But the thing is with you, if you are feeling like you're not good enough or you don't matter or any of that kind of stuff, because you're sensitive, then take a look at that and reach out to someone who can support that because it's not true. It's just not true because, you can still become or you already are. Your work that you end up doing on the planet is more important than what someone thinks about you in that respect. I mean,
Yeah.
Dr. Doug is like this incredibly no ego. There's no ego there. And okay, you decide. But I don't see that. I see a very kind and sensitive and understanding and intuitive person that allows the space to be open enough to heal. And he works with both men and women and creates that safety, and I've experienced that. So, as a male who is sensitive, just remember it's okay to be that way. It doesn't make you bad because someone else feels that way. So, anyway, continue, sir.
So thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
So, I have more to say on that too
Okay.
for the audience, because what I was gonna say earlier is this: cellular resonance and this work. I wrote this sentence, and it really puts everything in perspective. The path to true healing is a transformational journey
Mhm.
from fear to love, from the cells to the soul. We have to treat the whole person. We have to treat the whole person simultaneously, not separate parts of them. Treat the whole person, body, mind, heart, and soul. And when you do that and address it all together, that's what cellular resonance does. there's always a trauma, always a stress, always an emotion, a set of beliefs behind every illness that creates it. In a moment, I'll get to that in a moment, but we'll just say childhood trauma. A lot of us forget about those traumas and they don't resurface till our 30s or 40s, is what I've noticed. That's, where I start to see the age group coming in to see me.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, unless they've just been so bad since, teenagers, because I've helped a lot of teenagers. Parents have brought them to me who, were suicidal and tried to
Yeah.
kill themselves, depressed, anxious, panic attacks, social anxiety, uh, and all these things. I had this one young man, he was 15 and in high school in LA at a very prestigious and competitive uh, high school, and where a lot of the kids are kids of movie stars and people in the film business,
Mm.
including himself. His father was a entertainment attorney, so he represents the movie stars in court.
Mm.
He had social anxiety. He could not talk to kids, let alone in a group. And dad brings him to me on a Saturday at noon. I work with him for an hour, social anxiety, and I clear the trauma from basically his parents fighting and that energy that made him bottle up. And then some things about his fears with kids, about, again, being good enough, or
Mm.
that whole line of stuff. 1 hour with me. That night was the big, it wasn't a prom, but it was like the big school party, like in the movies where they all come, like Carrie, but no,
Don't go there, that's a trigger for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was
Uh,
my name growing up.
I'll bring up stuff and go like, I'm in your fields.
Really, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I
all
worked
things.
through that, but now
Yeah,
you're bringing it up
yeah.
again. Yeah.
And, and he had the best time of his life.
Yeah.
He talked, he danced, he met girls. I had another teenager who come to see me. It's like he's suicidal and everything. And he had cut his wrist like twice to, try to get out of whatever. He was only like 16 years old. And he really wanted a girlfriend to die and have a girlfriend, one of the. So, what it was, his parents' divorce, and that stuff really traumatized him, and we helped him heal that in a few hours, and boom, he felt great about his life. He no longer wanted to kill himself, and he got a girlfriend like within a few months of me treating him.
Yeah.
His first, love and girlfriend. He brought her into the office just to say, "Hey, Doctor."
Oh, so sweet.
Here's a cute girl. I said,
Look what you did.
yeah. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to go make a concierge call to one of my clients flying in from Puerto Rico, because I've helped him so much in his life. His company 10 years ago was almost, bankrupt. Women hated him. He was about 38,
Yeah.
good looking guy, but always when he came to me, he says, I want to quit smoking. I want to lose 30 pounds. My company's going to go under in a few months if I don't like shift something change something. I'll take responsibility. He's been to Tony Robbins. He's been to NLP, masters. He's done, Mankind Project, all these different wonderful leaders teaching all sorts of cool stuff, but he hadn't really shifted from any of that. And our
Mhm.
work goes down to the cellular level, cellular, subconscious, unconscious, and energetic field, soul, heart levels simultaneously, so we can clean it out on all those levels. And literally within his first 6 months of care, quit smoking, his fast food habit gone, lost 30 pounds, had a girlfriend who loved him and adored him, and he was with her for a number of years. That one shifted, and they weren't boyfriend and girlfriend anymore, but they're still great friends. She works for him even still today, 10 years
Mhm.
later.
Mhm.
And then he came to see me and he said, at that point, his company tripled in size. He replaced himself with another CEO. Now he started many other companies because of this work.
Mhm.
And so he loves it. And because his company went from 5 to 15 million, scaled up. Now he helps other people scale. And he's a really cool guy. He came to me in 2020 after the breakup with the other girl, and said, "Yeah, I'm ready for the one. I want to have a wife and kids." And so we got to work, and really for like 3 intensive days, probably probably about 8, 9 hours because he's like Neo in the
That's a
Matrix. I'm machine, just do me more. So and most of his trauma is generational and epigenetic. Not even this life for him, but just the genetic lineage of all their stresses in life and business, going through world wars, going through depressions, whatever the deal was, all in his cells, clearing that stuff away, and divorce as well, and father's death, and just, you know, clearing that stuff out and over the years, but this time it was, focused on on a wife. And literally that month he met his wife to be. I went to their wedding. They've been married, super happy. They have really cool Instagrams, with all their travels
Yeah. Yeah.
and love, and say they've been married for 5 years now. And so
I
people heal whatever they want to
yes,
heal,
you do.
heal their business,
Yeah.
heal. But mostly is this: we get traumatized and we feel bad about ourselves or other people. And we have to let go of that. We
Mhm.
have to let go of it from ourselves, from
Mhm.
our unconscious. And we carry 95% of what we carry that's causing our problems isn't even ours, or we brought it in for the lifetimes, but we don't know.
Mm.
And this, we have maybe a little inkling, but I tap in, I talk to your cells, I talk to your cell. I'm a soul to cell whisperer, and it tells me what's going on, and then we clear it out, and people heal whatever the illnesses are. Some people are end of life, and so we help them to make way for the next deal. But
Yeah.
most people, have a lot more life to live, but we just want to live it at the high level of vibrancy and love and joy, and really
Yes.
feeling great about ourselves and being our authentic self, being
Yeah.
who we truly are. People put on a persona. That's why you were saying no ego, but no, there is ego. We always have an ego because that's part of our survival mechanism, but we need to get out of survival into thriving, into reconnection. We must integrate. We don't kill, like in Buddhism,
Children.
people misinterpret
Mhm.
those teachings as kill the ego, right? No, we have to kill the ego's control,
Mhm.
not the ego. So so the way we do that is dissolve the fears and the shadow sides of self, the shadow sides of the ego. So the ego makes room because it has all these judgments that fill in all this empty space. That's the disease, all that dis-ease in the empty space of our
Mhm.
being,
Mhm.
and empty that out so we have room for what? For soul to integrate
Mhm.
so that we become a personality soul being. So that soul runs us, that love runs us, meaning non-judgment,
Right. Without fear. That's
forgiveness.
fear. Yeah.
That's right, without that fear. And from that place, then, without fear, we don't have to put on some fake face. Here I am, Mighty Mouse to save the day. To be
Yeah.
that persona that we think will be accepted by
Yeah.
people, and we feel really good to be our silly, quirky, whatever self we are. My mother said I was weird. Douglas, don't be so weird. That's what I heard from my mother, my Jewish mother. Don't be so weird, Douglas. That's strange, And the strange thing is people like me most when I'm my weird self.
Right. I know
my
the feeling.
my true, whatever
Yeah.
that thing I tried to cover up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not be.
Yeah.
So, it's, first you kind of are yourself, and then we're not accepted for that as kids. And then we build this false persona to try to be accepted.
Mhm.
But the greatest thing you can achieve in this life is to fully 100% love and accept yourself as who you are.
Yeah.
Caroline,
Yeah.
Doug,
Yeah.
Joe, Martha, just you know, like that first book I read, I'm okay, you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But go beyond okay. It's like be the love that you truly are. Our
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
our higher soul self is this divine love.
Mhm.
We're just disconnected as we become more and more connected, more awakened. And awakening is a process. And I've been doing it since 1987, for sure with that harmonic convergence, 1986, 7, when I first got treated with this work, and that shifted me. And I've never stopped, you know, working on myself.
You know, this is I love hearing you talk about this stuff because especially in relation to my experience of working with you. and learning from you. And it's you had brought up the thing about the generational trauma, which is when I came to the class that I took from you last year, whenever I don't even remember when that was at this point, it was a while ago. I was in the middle of working through some generational trauma stuff. And like I said, I don't know how much you remember, but everything that you said so far about how what that secret is. And like I've always been the type of person that's curious to see if this will work, how this will work, all this kind of stuff. And then when we connected back again, you worked on me in the class. And I don't know if you'll be able to remember what you witnessed, like, directly from me, but the powerful result of the work what you dug into. Like, we were dealing with my mother, the generational stuff with my grandmother, the parental alienation stuff that it all led into in my life, all these different things, and I was struggling so hard. Can you maybe use me as an example, but share the healing that you witnessed in working with me? Can you do that? Or
Well, I call it the reveal, deal, and heal process. And so that's trademarked, by the way.
okay, okay. Well, then I won't use it.
Yeah, you can use it. You can use it. All right. Just mention me.
Yeah.
To train more people. I mean, that's what my goal is to train more health providers, healers, people who really want to make a difference in the world. Because when
But if you don't mind me, I'm going to interrupt here for a second because you train people to do more than just healing work. Because I was trained in your first level course to do the healing work, but it led into something. Well, obviously, what it led into, it did the what it was meant to do, but it led into the thing that I was meant to do. So it's not necessarily always the healing work; it's the healing self work and
yeah,
where that takes you. And so
we
it
help
guided
align.
me to the work that I'm doing right now instead of so maybe that's what it was for me, but what is that? What activates in the body and the mind to help with this healing? It just works.
So, if you just like my pain brought me to healing, everyone's pain, sickness, disease, problem, who has a breakthrough of some kind leads them down like a new path of work or, career. That's very commonly, you'll hear that a lot
Mhm.
on the internet and on YouTube and so forth when people talk about these things. And, it's like the hero's journey, story. Like there's some problem that has to be solved, and it becomes more important enough to make it your focus.
Yes.
And then from there, it leads you to a new direction. But with this work, it goes even deeper than that because when it helps resolve a trauma on all these levels, there's an integration of the heart and soul, which
Mhm.
brings us to our truth. So you were doing healing work, try to heal yourself, I believe, as most the wounded healer, coming to heal yourself. But when we healed the real deal going on with you and you dissolve that, boom, your soul, your heart open to, I'm here. This is my talent, my true talent ability, and my fear of that, my mask over my own truth to myself is now removed, and I'm now revealed to who and why I'm here. And
Mhm.
those are a few of the processes I take people through. I recognize who I am
Mhm.
and why I'm here, and then clearing the cobwebs, clearing that trauma that's keeping us from our deeper truths, right? A
Yeah.
deeper, greater truth of who we are. And I love that because when people do that, that's how they can be the greatest level of service to people. And we're really here for two reasons: to love and to love and to serve each
Mhm.
other. And we're going from uh the old paradigm of power over others and me, it's all about me and my great success. The greatest success, the most successful truly is a person who is of service and helps other people be successful. We've heard
Mhm.
those things, but it
Mhm.
really needs to be so. And the way it happens the greatest is when it's in purity, in the pureness of the heart and soul, the pureness of spirit of who we are.
Yes.
And when we can do that, all of humanity is on the love wisdom ray of the soul. This is the group soul of humanity. We have our individual soul and we have the group soul of all of us. There is a greater intention from Creator, from God for all of us. And right now we're in the phase of clearing away what isn't love.
Hmm.
This is why the teachings of forgiveness are so important. And it's something I teach in my first course because it is that important. I call it cellular forgiveness because forgive is to let go at the cellular level, pain here and then
Did that with me. Yes, you
yeah.
did that
And
with me.
I
Yeah.
remember you cried, your
Yeah.
body shook, you were
Yeah.
like what's happening? And
Yeah.
it's unwound.
Yeah.
And you got off the table like
I
go
was
off.
dizzy. I was so dizzy when I got done with that. I didn't realize how hard it was, like,
Yeah.
controlling my
We
nervous
just
system.
we let go of a bunch of ego wounding
Yeah.
and brought more soul presence into your heart. When the brain and nervous system get out of survival mode, by the way, that's another key to healing. Does if the nervous system stays stuck in sympathetic survival mode,
Mhm.
not going to heal. You
Mm-mm.
got to get that brain to like click click
Yeah. Yeah.
and integrate into a whole brain.
Right.
And I
Like a
figured that out when
computer, huh? Yeah.
yeah, I read a book called Whole Brain Thinking.
It's a
Brain
while
Thinking,
ago.
yeah, I read it about 1988.
Wow.
1988, 89. Yeah, it was written around then too. It was
Hmm.
a popular book, Whole Brain Thinking, and it was like a business book, but getting the brain, and it was all like
Hmm.
this as neuroscience was trying to really emerge,
Mhm. Mhm.
in the 80s. And cool. So, this is a quantum neuroscience process. It is scientific in that it is working with the way the neurons fire off and the memory cells and working with clearing that stuff, but you clear it with the soul energy or the universal pulse of creation, this energy that is love. And so that's when we're touching the body. We're literally allowing the love from above down flow through right here out into that patient, but you've got to get them, you got to open up the program. So that's what I do. I find what it is, open it up, clear it. And it's so smooth and so gentle that, the problem with a lot of trauma work and psychological work, etc., is, it's trying to, it takes a really long time. And so many people are traumatized by trying to clear the trauma. And that's not something that happens with this work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just gentle because love and forgiveness go through the cells, through the mind, through the trauma, and it just starts dissipating literally in seconds to minutes.
Mhm.
And then that's, I only worked on you probably in front of the room for probably 15, 20 minutes max.
Yeah.
Max,
Yep.
because my demonstrations aren't
That's right. That's what's so
longer than that.
intriguing. I just had a download of what you were just talking about, of a couple of words that it felt like to me, apparently, because it just came to me, but it was a resonant opening. That's what it feel I mean, it's like everything just came together and opened up. And it just opened the space for me to, like, move into, like, we contract. We contract when we're traumatized, and we crawl into ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, which is why a lot of people have so many, issues with the body, because we're contracting. But this is like opens it up. It's very gentle and caring and loving, and it opens that space up for us to fill. Like, we're taught to create this box to fit inside of, and we're not meant to fit inside of these boxes. It's very painful, it's very tight, it's very small, it's very contracting. And then when we do this work, it's energetically, that's what creates that space. It opens that, breaks the box, opens the space, creates that new space for you to just open into. Like, literally, I would not be, and I say this a lot on my, because it blows me away. Like, I've done this work so I can be of service, right? And I know what it feels like. And so my byline for this podcast is uncover the truth of who you are. And
Yeah.
this is a way to do it. It's like, it's a very powerful thing. And then when we expand like that, then we get to pay it forward, and we get to connect with new people, and all these people who are doing different types of work to help. And it's just so, I don't know, I just get excited about this kind of stuff. So if you want to share
Yeah.
one of your
Yeah.
favorite stories.
I can. God,
I mean, I'm not one of your favorite stories? Come on.
I have thousands of
I
favorite
know you
stories. If I could
do.
only, yes, if I could only
I
remember all of
know.
them, they kind of pop in my mind
Right? Right.
simultaneously, and they go just
I
as
know.
fast.
I know. I'm
Like
my own
present
favorite
time
story, and I
consciousness.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Resonates with you that you love.
I'll tell them that I tell often because I just think it's a cool story, and I'll tell the short version of it.
Oh,
I had a patient. Her name is Jessica. She was 11 and a half years old,
oh, oh.
and she was um uh l- living in Jerusalem,
Mm,
and I was talking to her mother on Skype because I was going to go over. Her mother represented a group of Palestinian practitioners, and I was going to go over there and teach them how to do trauma work to help the people there. And I was going to treat
mm,
Israelis and Palestinians, and so her mother's Palestinian, and here we are. I come and talk, and the little girl whispers something in the mother's ear. I mean, it didn't, you can't tell if there's someone standing right here, right? So all of a sudden she came into view and whispered something in her mother's ear. And the mother tells me this story. And again, the short version, she was born with two holes in her heart.
mm,
And the doctors have been wanting to do surgery to like burn her heart and clear the holes. But when she was a little girl, she talked. She was a very smart girl. She's talked like a year old. And she told her mother, no doctors. I tell you the doctor that's going to heal me. That's what she whispered in her mother's ear. Dr. Doug is the one. So she waited 11 and a half, almost 12 years to finally say, there's the doctor. And it was like,
Gave me shivers.
it made me,
Oh,
I mean, I kind of, me and the mother both kind of cried
I know.
together. And that's like, I said, I don't know how many people you're going to bring to the seminar. I mean, it was, a nonprofit work for the Palestinian Israeli people. So I went over there in 2011, and I saw Jessica for a few hours and her mother over a couple days is it. And the bottom line is when Jessica was in the womb, because she's born with two holes. So the stress has to be in the womb. Her father died suddenly, and that like put a
Mm,
hole in her mother's
mhm,
heart emotionally. And it jolted the little baby's heart to stop developing. So I cleared the father's death from the mother and the daughter, and she went back to the Hadassah Medical Center, like highest rated hospitals in the world, in the cardiology department, and they did their testing like they always do. And they go, we can't find any holes. There's no holes anymore in her heart. And it changed her whole life. She
mhm.
healed that, and went, university, and got married. And because this is like 15 years ago.
Wow.
I see miracles like this, all the time. First, they have something growing. I don't want to say what that is. Something growing in their body, right, like that, and we find what the stimulus is, what that stress is, and clear that. I did
Yeah.
that with
Yeah.
a well-known writer in Hollywood, and she'd already had all the breast surgeries and all the medical treatment, and mastectomy, the whole 9 yards. And then it came back 7 years later. And so I helped her negotiate a deal with a big movie company. I won't say any of the names. But anyway, she came to see me and said, I know you can help me. I know it's my mother. She happened to know mother stress.
No, I get that. I understand that, and I believe.
Yeah, yeah. But breast cancer always has a mothering issue to it.
Yeah.
And so I just helped her heal, the non-nurturing mother. She had a rich mother because she was like a 1950. She started a company that was rare for women, and she loved working and started this company. And so, she was raised by like the nanny. So she
Mhm,
didn't really have the mother around. So that's the first mothering issue. And then the mother got Alzheimer's, and then she was taking care of the mother for like 10 years
mhm.
of like, I didn't get this nurturing, and I have to do this to my mother, and
Right,
and
right.
and so that's what that was all about. Once we cleared that up, we cleared all that over about an 8 week period. In 8 weeks, we went back to her MD, and he said, you have no cancer.
I'm not surprised. I am not
But
surprised.
I don't treat anything. I don't treat or cure anything. I help
Well,
people reveal and deal in
yes.
seconds to minutes to hours with whatever this energy blockage is,
Yeah. Yeah.
thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that are stored and literally dissolve them into the ethers,
Yeah.
which reinstitutes the body, mind, soul connection. The healer is the soul. I am just the soul whisperer, the soul reconnector, and I help
Mhm.
people to clear their mind, free their mind
Mhm.
of that trauma, their bodies of that trauma, and boom, it they get better. This is true for accidents, injuries. There's always memory
Mhm.
with emotion that the person's stuck in.
Yeah.
And once we clear that, unless they really interfere or have really bad habits, and then we clear those bad habits, because if diet and
You
toxins
gotta
is
do all of it. Mind,
part of
body.
this world, right?
Yeah.
I had a patient come to me with 147 food allergies. He couldn't eat anything.
Right.
He was so frustrated. So I only needed to clear about 30 of them, and all the other ones were interrelated. So there's about 30 different stresses. And we did that in a couple hours. And then we went out to eat. He happened to fly and meet me in the Isle of Rhodes in the Greek islands because I was on vacation there. And he said,
Nice.
I just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I really need some work because that was a tough deal. And so he was already in Africa. He came and saw me. He spent a week with me. We had a great time.
Oh,
And we ate lots of good Greek food. He was eating everything.
let's anyway. Greek food's healthy anyway.
Well, he was saying, "Give me 3 desserts." We ate everything, and he had such a great
Yeah.
time. Then he gained a little bit of weight. He says, "I think I need to
We need to
taper off
stop that.
my excitement,"
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
did,
Well,
and he thinned right out.
that's cool. That's really neat. I like that. And the thing about it is like the nervous system, the traumas. Like there's a book that I've read that I'm sure you're saying everything in the book. It's The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love
our
that book.
nervous systems, our physiology, everything holds those emotions and the feelings, and they stack on top of each other. Every time something new comes in, it doesn't if we never release that first thing that happened, the first trauma, it's like this open loop that stays open until we release the trauma. And once everything is open, any new emotion that comes in has a place to flow through. That's the intention of how we're supposed to work, but that's not generally how we work. So as these things stack up throughout our lives, then we need somebody like Dr. Doug to help us to release those things. So that's why we're here. So
Come learn, and help.
that
You know,
too.
hundreds, help thousands of people. Because I mean,
Absolutely.
as you can see, I'm not 20. I'm not 24 anymore.
Right. So do it now.
And yeah, so get the teaching directly
Yeah,
from me
absolutely.
until I can get enough practitioners that know this work inside and
Yeah.
out so that
Yeah.
they can now teach.
Yeah.
And I have dozens, hundreds of teachers out there.
So Dr. Doug, before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you some questions that I ask all my guests. So we're at my favorite part that I don't warn you about other than the questions. So if you could offer one piece of advice to someone just starting their healing journey, what would it be?
Never give up.
Mm,
You're starting on your journey. One, ask great questions. Is
mhm.
this the right practitioner for me? Who can truly help me heal the cause of this problem? So that's that one book I said I'm going to put out pretty soon. I have it written. Like the first step is asking the right questions. That's what I did. I asked a question, you know, show me how to heal myself. How do I get well? What's the real solution here? Before I
Mhm.
was just going to doctor and had all these ideas in my head instead of asking the question. And so never give up, ask the right questions, and that will help you to lead you to the right places. And then also ask this, am I making this choice out of my head or out of my heart?
Right. Right.
It's like, oh, everyone's telling you, oh, it's like I had this lady who came to me on her 3rd round of chemo, which caused her breast cancer to become metastatic bone cancer. She knows she's dying. She's afraid to get off it because I have to do everything. Don't I have to do everything? I said, no, you have to do the right thing, not everything, the right thing
Right.
that'll help you get to the root cause. I
Right.
worked for 5 days. She went back to her oncology. She's off all that stuff. She's healing
Mhm.
rapidly. Oncologists are going like, what's happening here? Because I helped her heal the divorce of her parents, heal her divorce, heal her relationships, heal her heart, herself at the cell to soul level. When you do that, the body knows how to heal. You just need to get it reconnected and it'll do that. If it's not healing, that's because it's blocked. And the thing that's
Mhm.
blocking it is beliefs, ideas about yourself, false ideas, and even believing in the illness
Mm.
that's what the other book that I'm writing is like getting out of that, all that belief and how to bring yourself through the self-healing process
Yeah.
smoothly and giving
Yeah.
you all the points to that. So I hope, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how to, so I gave you a couple answers.
Absolutely. And you can and people can get stuck in the addiction of trauma and healing
Yeah.
disease as well. So it keeps us in this loop so we don't, and then we get told that, somebody outside of us has the ability to do the healing, when the truth is, like Dr. Doug said, it's like the soul. You are your own healer. He, Dr. Doug, or anybody who does something similar to this or in this realm, they're the conduit. We're just holding the space for you and your body and your soul and your spirit to heal yourself. That's it. And if you have that belief that that's possible, then it is. If you don't, if you want to put your trust in medicine is wonderful if there's an emergency. But the body, have you ever cut your finger? Have you ever watched it heal itself? It's just as simple as that. The whole body can do that. It's just we don't remember that because that's what we're told. How do you define awakening?
How do I define awakening? As I said,
Yes.
it is a process of uncovering what's false, what's not true, and having an awareness of what is true. It's going from small t truths to big T truths. Like the ego goes, you abused me. You did this to me. Like those are all small T truths.
Yeah.
I hate you because you did this. That's my. Those
Yeah.
are small T truths. Those will make you sick.
Right.
We got to get to big T truths, which is forgiveness, self-love. I am that I am. I am a healer. I am healed. And
Beautiful.
we have to get to that.
What do you believe soul divinity is?
Soul divinity. Well, I would say that is also part of the awakening process, to awaken to the divinity that your soul truly is and to embody that divinity. And we've had probably the most famous prophets, some called the Son of God, etc., say this. We have to take God into our heart. Let's take the Christ into our heart, take that divinity into us and allow that to resonate through every cell and just take apart all that isn't us, all that isn't,
Yes. Yeah.
all that is fear, all that isn't love. In other words, yeah.
And however you do that as the audience, it's like your version, your connection with a higher power. If you don't call it God, you call it source. If you call it great mystery, whatever that is, it's all the same thing. Obviously this is Dr. Doug's connection. And I just want you to know that it isn't something, we all are connected in our way. And so whatever you call it is just fine.
It's
Dr.
like
Doug, how can people get in touch with you?
how can they get in touch with me? Well,
Yes.
my website for my school and getting in touch with me that has my phone number, my email, has everything on that is cellularresonance.com. So cellularresonance.com. And there is some free gifts on there. So you can actually get my quantum healing guide and mini course, which shows me work with somebody who's a brand new patient. I never saw them before. I asked some of my patients, will you do this? And they said, oh, I have a friend. So the friend drove 2 hours to the studio, and we worked with and helped her heal some big stuff in 30 minutes. So it's not very long. And so we got that. And then my courses, information is on there. We don't have the next dates as of the date of this podcast, but in the next few weeks, I will have the 2026 dates on the
Mm.
web.
So they'll be out by the time this gets
Yeah,
online. And also I wanted to share real quick, you also, I don't know if they're still on the site, but you did at one point have recordings. They're like kind of meditative recordings that help you walk through different levels of,
yeah, yeah,
like mainly to get a sampling of the work
yeah.
he does. And I did those. I don't know if it was before I took the course or after, but those really help. if that's, if you're open to all of this and you have the desire, those were really powerful. So I would highly recommend those if they're still on the site.
Yeah, and by the time this podcast is out, new podcast where I do remote healing on the audience for free, like a mini healing on
Yeah.
different subjects, literally as many days as a week as I can put them out. My goal is to have them 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then do some specialty ones on the weekends.
That's
And
cool. I
and
love that.
I have my higher resonance community, which is on the website, which is, basically like, a Starbucks coffee a week. That's the fee for that. And we meet every Wednesday, and I do a very intensive healing with the group. And it's really powerful because you're there with a group of people who really want to heal. My practitioners are on there, and we just do that. And, we cover different topics every week, from money, prosperity, relationships, many different beliefs, things that are going on in the world to help us
Mm,
be our authentic self, to really embody deeper this love of self, and be of service to our family, humanity, our clients,
love
uh,
that.
be-
I love that.
to shift people. We're all in this together. And the more that
Yeah.
you're involved, here's the coolest thing. The coolest thing you can do is to heal yourself. Because when you heal yourself truly on all levels, that we're this energy being, and it's like this radiant energy that goes out and shifts other people.
You
And
know what?
and be that,
Y-
be a world healer, be that
Yes. Yes.
person. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. I say, be the healer, be the healed you want to see in the world. You want to see a healed world? It depends upon you. It really does. And here's the cool thing. You benefit all along, because you heal physically, mentally, emotionally,
Mhm.
spiritually.
Mhm.
Better mother, better father, better son,
Mhm.
better daughter,
Mhm.
better lover, better, healthier. Most of all, you're bringing you. The world needs you, not the damage, not the thing that wants to be accepted. No, you're fully accepted already inside, fully loved inside. Then you can be that gifter of that to other people, and then open your channels to receiving
Yes.
all
Yeah.
from above down, inside out in your life. And when you live in that place, that is true prosperity, that is true wealth and true health, and awakening.
Yes. Yes.
Because in this continued awakening process,
Yeah.
you awaken to the higher dimensions, the higher beingness that you are. We these souls have been around for millions of years, going through this process. And now we're at this pivotal point to go to the next level. And my deepest desire from my heart to yours is for you to be on that track,
Yeah.
and lead
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
uh, and help others. So
That's beautiful. And here's the really cool thing, and it goes right along with what you just said. When we heal, the most important thing for us to do is to heal, because it shifts our energy, it expands, it does all those things we were talking about. But what happens, interestingly enough, and someone told me this, and it could be right, not wrong or whatever, but it sounds good even if it's wrong. We do our own healing work. It affects, they were telling me, 600 people energetically. It expands out to that many people. So when every single time that someone does their healing work, it expands. And that's how powerful energy is. And that's how, I'm going to say, I don't know enough about how the quantum field and all that stuff works, but that's what it sounds like to me. So that's important to recognize. So it's like, wow, I'm not just doing this for me, even though I am, but at the same time, it's still helping other people without doing anything. You become a lighthouse. You become somebody who can just be like Yeshua, right? Like he comes out, he shines his light. He doesn't really do anything. He shines his light and people feel like they've been healed. That's the same concept.
absolutely. You heal something like abuse in you, truly, at the cellular, subconscious, unconscious, superconscious, soul heart levels, truly, and to the point that it integrates you, mind, body, soul, spirit, to a higher, greater awakening, which is a greater embodiment of a higher vibrational frequency. Literally, you could be healing not just hundreds, thousands,
Mhm.
even millions. I know when I do my community, I know that millions are being affected by
Yeah.
my community who's doing this work on themselves,
Yes.
because I'm bringing that level of higher vibrational field in there, and then these people, and then they're taking it in as a group, and then that goes out to the
Yes.
larger micro group, goes out to the macro group. So yeah, be another light of the world, as
Yes. Absolutely.
you were
Absolutely.
emulating earlier, Caroline. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So Dr. Doug, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Wow. I think we've given them a whole lot to take in already. I remember I had one patient. She was about 80 years old. She came to see me back in the 90s, and I worked with her once for like 10 minutes and cleared some childhood trauma and stuff. She didn't know what to expect. She had some pain, some whatever, and that went away in the 10 minutes. But she was sitting there in my reception area like an hour later, and I came out to get some water, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She says, "I'm doing really good. I didn't expect to be doing this good." And I said, "Yeah, yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing you on a couple days, your next session." And she says, I think you gave me enough to think about and heal for my lifetime."
Out of the mouths of babes, right?
It's like it was like that huge for her at
Yeah.
that time, and it was like I felt blessed that I could give her just that. That's as much awakening, as much healing as she was able to do at that time.
Yeah.
And, at her 80 years, that's great. And then I have
You say 8 or 80?
80, she was 80.
Oh, I thought you said 8 initially. Okay.
No, 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 80 years old. Yeah,
Wow.
she was 80,
Okay.
80. And it's never too late. I remember I had Ruby, I'd rather just share a story. Ruby was 80 years old with Parkinson's. She was at this stage, the senior bus picking her up, dropping her off, carrying her off the bus, sticking the walker in front of her, and she would walk, I mean, really slow. I mean, it took her 10 minutes just to walk like 20 feet to my treatment room. I could treat a couple patients before she even got back there.
Oh,
And I worked with her, and she was like rigid as can be. So when I lifted her legs, her whole body went off the table because she
wow.
was called cogwheel rigidity. But what happened is this young whippersnapper, conned her out of all her savings at 82 years of age. So we did a lot of forgiveness and a lot of let go. At first, she said, "God's going to get him," but I said, "Well, it looks like Parkinson's is getting you, so we
Mhm,
got to
mhm.
let go of that." And she stayed with it. She was determined to get better. It really takes that. The determination is so important, and she was determined to get better. And so we helped her, and we went through this cellular forgiveness resonance process. I don't know how many months it was, 3, 4, 5 months of working with her, but by the time we got to that point, she was walking normal, talking normal, wasn't shaking, wasn't all the cogwheel rigidity, all that
Wow.
anger and resentment and
Yeah.
grudges and hatred just peeled off from her. She walked into her medical doctor and said, "I don't have Parkinson's anymore." Her medical doctor went like, "I can see that." And then she said, "Do you want to know how I healed it?" And he went, "No, just get out of my office."
And that's so normal. That
Yeah,
is so normal.
that
Wow.
was like 20 that was like 2004.
Wow.
Oh, something like that.
That's
That's
crazy.
30
That
years
is
ago, right?
wow.
Yeah, well, I can't believe that's
Yeah, that's
20
that's
20
crazy.
20 years ago.
Yeah. Huh. But, and it's something before we finish, something you said reminded me of something I wanted to say earlier. It's like with healing, I've noticed this. The older you get and the longer you wait, it accumulates and it's not it's probably more challenging. It's doable, I would say. I would let Dr. Dunn refer to him for that. But it's so much better when in the moment, right now, decide, make the choice to do your healing work and not wait until what's that saying? I can't remember who said that. I don't know if it was Wayne Dyer or somebody before him that said that, but it's like there's a lot of people in a graveyard that do you know what I'm talking about? That
Yeah, that had good intentions, like
Yeah.
one day, like I'll get around to it, you know?
Yeah. So don't
Yeah.
sit there
The
and get
radio's
around to
is paved with good intentions or
intentions.
something like.
Right. But
Yeah.
don't wait, because your life will change. I mean, take it from us. It's happening, and and the joy that you're looking for is in that healing. It's in there. It doesn't feel like it. May not feel like it right now, but
Everything
everything. Yeah.
they're looking for is
Everything.
really, yes,
Yeah.
whatever it is, looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love, joy, money, success, whatever you're looking for out there, it's an inside out job, and
Yep.
it begins with truly healing you, healing your
Yes.
heart, healing the physical, mental, emotional. It's all interlaced. It's
Yep.
all the same thing.
It is. Yep.
And when you really realize that that true healing really is a spiritual journey, it is about bringing more of that divine energy, divine love, divine soul into you, letting go of this ego, fear based consciousness that's self judging, self criticism, doesn't feel worthy.
And you're your own worst enemy
And
at this point.
we all are, because we're
Yeah.
just reinforcing everything
Yep.
that's been told to hit to us
Mhm.
that really wasn't true. Or
Mhm.
if we thought it was true, it was like a small t true.
Mhm.
Like maybe we're being stupid in that moment, but it doesn't mean we're stupid.
Right.
This is
Exactly.
really important. My father used to call me stupid, moron, idiot. I mean, all those things. Yet, because he said, "You're so smart. Why are you doing such?" And
Yeah.
but communication was damaging,
Yes. Yeah.
and he really meant it with good intention. He just was so suppressed himself. He
Mhm.
could only express it through anger, disappointment, judgment, and those things. But he really wanted the best for me. He really did. And I had to go through my journey to let go of
Yeah.
that, to see
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and to love him even more.
Yeah. I laughed because my dad did something similar to me. It's like I have to share this.
Our
I have to
generation.
share this because it fits right in with what you just said. He used to say to me, "You were never a good student, right? You could do better than that." Same thing. You're smart. You're this, you're that, but you were never a good student. So I stopped being a good student. And then there was one point where I was having a lunch with him, and I was trying to work through some things with him. And I asked him if he was proud of me, and he says, "Of course I am," which that's not exactly being told someone's proud of you. And so that sat with me for years. And then after he died, I remember going through a filing cabinet with a bunch of his stuff from, when he was a child, and there was a report card in there for, I don't know, 2, 3 years of schooling, like in high school or whatever, and he was literally a C and D student. He was actually doing worse than I did and saying all this stuff to me, and I had this, like, mind blow thing happen, and I was like, "That's how they taught us." They taught us by saying and hoping. I mean, he was doing what he thought was going to motivate me to do better than him, but in actuality, it made me
Exactly.
feel worse, and I was like,
Exactly. That's exactly what my dad was doing too.
"Right!"
Well, what happens, we take it
Yes.
so deeply,
Yeah.
so, so deeply. Reminds me of one of my favorite books, as I was like really like taking, when I was reading a lot and taking a lot in that way. Now I take everything, most everything, really like just asking questions and receiving
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the divine energy,
Yeah.
that's served, me and so many others, well in the healing process. But Carolyn Mace, who's a medical intuitive, wrote a book called Anatomy of the Spirit. She talks about this man. I don't know that she, if she was just relating the story, or I think she was just relating the story because it goes back to World War II. And this Native American was man was a tracker, and had these intuitive skills, and they drafted him into the front
Oh,
line to be a spy, and he got caught as a spy, and he was in a prisoner of war camp. And this officer, towards the end of the war, the last few months, or maybe longer, 6 months, but in the last few months of the war in the camp, um, he would come in and he was force feeding him bugs and sticking him in his mouth and tying him down and making him chew the bugs. And he was thinking this officer, this Nazi is torturing me, is forcing me to eat these bugs and doing all that kind of stuff. When he came home, he became crippled and couldn't walk and went back to his tribe, and he lived that way for many, many years. And then he was an older man, and they finally, as a tribal ceremony, they said it's like sink or swim, and they just took him and put him in the water to like make this shamanic journey. And while he was drowning in the water, the spirit of this Nazi officer came to him and talked to him and said, "We were all starving. We had no food. It was the end of the war. And you were too good a man for me to let die. I had to do something redeeming for all the awful things that I participated in this war. And I was trying to feed you and not let you starve to death."
Mm,
And with that realization, that trauma, everything he thought was true. Small T
mhm.
truth. Yeah, the guy's force feeding bugs into his mouth. But the bigger truth was the man was trying to save his life. And he swam back to shore. And all his limbs, whatever disease it was, it just vanished and he swam to shore.
Thanks for
And
that.
yeah.
Tearing up.
And it's like, our perceptions are
Yeah.
we think we're right on. And like my mentor used to say, you either rather be well or you rather be right. You
Mm,
rather be loved or you rather be right.
mhm.
You rather be, healed or right. So we have to let go of that and just know that point of view has you stuck.
Yeah.
All of our POVs, points of view, have us stuck somewhere, stuck in some dis-ease,
Mhm.
some lack, some loss, some hurt and suffering that is now self-perpetuated by
Yeah.
that. And so,
Mm.
I hope that helps someone that we're talking
Well, it
to.
helped me.
A lot of someone's,
Yeah,
because
I'll raise my it helped. That was like I was tearing up when you were saying it, so it definitely wow. Okay,
so
let me
yeah.
catch my breath here. So, yeah, wow. Dr. Doug, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. You've shown how even when the healer breaks, the soul is still guiding us home. Your path through pain, surrender, and awakening reminds us that even in our darkest moments, something greater is inviting us to remember who we truly are. And to my audience, to our audience, may this conversation remind you to trust your own unfolding and listen when your soul speaks. Thank you for being here with us on Awakening Soul Divinity. Thank you for being here. Click on one of the videos below to keep going on your healing journey. And don't forget to subscribe.